Welcome to my channel. Go to another world. #Japan. I'm Takeshi, a national licensed tour guide for foreigners. Thank you for joining me on this journey. So today, I'm going to take you to Eiheiji Temple, located in Fukui Prefecture. Spreading over the serene hillside and shaded by majestic cedar trees deep in the mountains. It is the main training temple of the Soto sect of Zen Buddhism. It has been said that this is the most demanding temple throughout Japan since its founding. Even today, many monks called unsui live and practice in this temple according to the traditional teachings. Eiheiji, the head temple of the Soto Zen sector, known as Japan's foremost major religious institution, is 15,000 temples nationwide and a following of 6 million believers. This temple was founded by Zen master Dogen in 1244. Let me tell you about what I'm planning to share with you all today before we go there. First, I'm going to explain Dogen's life and why Dogen built Eiheiji in these deep mountains and secluded valleys. Next, I'm going to share what unsui's practice is like. For making this video, I read several books which left an impression on me. Allow me to share a few quotes from the books I read. One of them is about the real author's true experience of the practice as unsui for 1 year at this temple. And also I had a chance to stay overnight at this Zen monastery to get a glimpse of the monks' daily training. I got to learn many things from unsui directly, and I participated in Zazen, kind of meditation where they clear their mind and focus on breathing. One of them was from 4 a.m. as I heard the temple's bell. It was definitely an unforgettable experience for me. I really want to convey the true charm of this temple. I hope this video will help you gain a deeper understanding of Eiheiji Temple. A couple of months ago, the Washington Post introduced Fukui Prefecture as one of Japan's most spiritual regions in a featured article that selected 12 places around the world to avoid the crowds and travel in 2024. Isn't that wonderful? So, without further ado, let's go to another world, the Eiheiji Temple. Eiheiji is located in the perfect place for a Zen temple deep in the mountain valley. If I had to summarize the overwhelming feeling of this majestic temple, I would describe it as a very demanding temple following the strict footsteps of the teachings of Zen master Dogen. Eiheiji Temple is an active religious center where monk trainees called unsui engage in daily training from dawn to dusk. Life for the unsui is structured according to the principles described by Zen master Dogen. Accordingly, the monk trainees follow a demanding day-to-day routine and live a Samba monastic lifestyle. The Eiheiji is not just a tourist spot. Since 1244, it has been filled with a sincere atmosphere of Zen practitioners carrying out the Buddha's teachings as they were transmitted by Dogen. Dogen says, "There is nothing special about this practice. We just eat, clean up, chant, sleep, and sit. The daily activities themselves are the practice." Chokushimon gates, found in prominent temples, shrines, and castles, were reserved for esteemed visitors during ancient and medieval Japan. An ancient stone staircase lined with 700-year-old cedars leads to the solemn Eiheiji's Chokushimon gate. Modest, yet dignified. This gate can be considered a symbol of Eiheiji Temple, depicted in many paintings and photographs, and beloved by many people. This is the beginning of the sacred journey of Eiheiji. Eiheiji Temple is famous for its layout. In Zen Buddhism, temples are organized around 7 fundamental structures that form the main spaces in which the monks live, eat, sleep, and practice Zen. These 7 buildings are known as the Shichido-garan, or 7-hall temple. This Shichido-garan comprises 7 interconnected structures such as Mountain Gate, Buddha Hall, Dharma Hall, Monk's Hall, kitchen, bathhouse, toilet. These 7 buildings are linked through an intricate network of corridors and stairways, seamlessly integrating function with architectural elegance. First of all, let's visit the Mountain Gate, which is my favorite. Take a look. It's really shiny and polished, isn't it? The current Mountain Gate was rebuilt in 1749 and is the oldest surviving building in Eiheiji Monastery after several fires. This is fairly recent compared to temples in Kyoto and Nara, of which many are hundreds, and the oldest dates back over 1,400 years. However, the Mountain Gate of Eiheiji Monastery is very special for unsui, because the unsui can only pass this Mountain Gate twice during their lifetime, upon entering for training and departing after completion. Renowned Zen temples such as Eiheiji often feature a plaque hanging at the entrance that embody their spiritual essence and history. The right plaque says, "Those lacking conviction should not enter." The plaque on the left reads, "The gate is always open, so anyone who wants to come in is welcome to do so anytime." Let me share an experience recounted by a former monk who passed through this Mountain Gate. The author is an ordinary person whose family has nothing to do with temples, and he has a rare experience of becoming interested in Zen and entering Eiheiji Temple at the age of 30 after working as an office worker. By sharing his direct experiences from his book, we can gain profound insights into this spiritual pilgrimage. Looking back, I realized how often I had envisioned myself standing at this Mountain Gate. At certain times, I felt a glorious vision, and at other times, a nightmare. Lost in the relentless rain, I stood waiting, time slipping away, the cold seeping into the earth. The icy tiles chilling my feet no longer mattered to me. Above all that, I had lost my peace of mind. I did not recall how long it had been since I had stood at this Mountain Gate. In a moment suspended in time, a lone practicing monk emerged. Anticipating his approach, I tensed, holding my breath. Breaking the silence, he questioned one of us in a deep, resonant tone. "What brings you here?" "I seek training," the response came. "Training, you say? What does that entail?" He probed. "Why have you come? You speak of training, yet your silence suggests otherwise. Or perhaps you are uncertain yourself." "No, that's not it." "Then, enlighten me." "Your indecisiveness bars you from passing this gate. Return from which you came." The once low, chilling voice thundered into a commanding shout. "Heed my words! You must depart!" The monk positioned himself at the gate center, gesturing toward the pillars. "Can any of you decipher the Chinese inscription upon this mountain gate?" he inquired, presenting a new challenge. "Behold the right pillar's warning. Eiheiji Temple's code is unyielding. Neither wealth, status, nor intellect grants. Passage unless devotion is absolute. Yet, the left pillar beckons. Eiheiji Temple's gate remains doorless and open, inviting all who bear sincere intent. Thus, only those willing to stake their lives on this path may attempt that training. Therefore, search your hearts, and let the only truly committed proceed, leaving behind worldly attachments." Finally, we entered from the mountain gate. We proceeded along the corridor, turning left and right, gradually moving deeper and deeper into the inner sanctum of Eiheiji Temple. Inside the temple complex, every corner was dimly lit, causing our eyes to focus and our minds to concentrate in a manner that it has never done before, and everything existed with a solemn simplicity and silence. As we advanced further into the depths of Eiheiji Temple, it felt as if time itself were flowing in the opposite direction. This is a monk's hall called the Soto. The Soto is a sacred place of practice, and only Usui can enter this monastery. In this monk's hall, each person is given a tiny space called the tan, which is a single tatami mat for doing zazen, eating, and sleeping. Newcomers are led to a room behind the monk's hall, not directly to the monk's hall. For 7 days, they spend most of their time there facing the wall in meditation from waking until bedtime. Just entering this sacred place doesn't make them Eiheiji monks yet. This is just one step toward the process of becoming Eiheiji monks. It will be a tough and grueling week for newcomers. They will receive preliminary education on the correct way to practice Zazen, meal etiquette, and various other bodily movements. All essential elements for embarking on their spiritual journey. It won't be easy, but the rewards will be profound. Once the period here is over, there is a ceremony where newcomers join the ranks of senior unsui, making the beginning of their formal training at the Eiheiji Temple. By completing this ceremony, they are officially recognized as members of the unsui community within the temple. They cut off all social interactions, owe nothing but the bare essentials, shave their heads, wipe out their egos, and sit silently with their backs to the flow of the world. Joyoden, a memorial to Zen Master Dogen, stands atop a long staircase on high ground. Revered even after 7 centuries, offerings are made with respect. Though small, its silent ambience inspires reverence. Let me share why Dogen built Eiheiji in these deep mountains and secluded valleys through his life. Dogen was born into a prestigious aristocratic family in Kyoto in 1200 AD. His mother died when he was 80 years old, and it is said that he decided to become a Buddhist monk when he saw a wisp of smoke rising from the incense offered for his mother, and realized how transient everything is in life. Dogen left his home and was ordained at Mount Hiei at 12 years old. At the time of the Dogen period, new interpretations of the Buddha's teachings were spreading throughout the country and gaining popularity. Many emerging sects argued that people were born enlightened and that anyone could attain enlightenment and go to the Pure Land simply just by chanting the sutras. However, at that time, Dogen was a monk who questioned it. If we already are Buddhas, why must we undergo this extensive training? Although he asked all the senior priests that question, he couldn't obtain a satisfactory answer. So he set out across the ocean to China to pursue the answer. In China, Dogen met an elderly monk who said to Dogen, "You do not yet understand the practice, and you do not yet know what words mean." Dogen asked, "What is practice?" The elderly monk answered, "It's just in front of you. It is your life itself. There is nothing in the world that is hidden." Dogen further asked, "What do words mean?" "Words are empty if they are not put to work. The sutras are empty if you do not practice them. You are Buddha only through practice." Dogen was deeply impressed and began to realize something for the first time. Even if we are originally enlightened beings, we never appear as Buddha without practicing in accordance with the teachings of the sutras. That is to say, practicing and awakening are not separable but one. The Zen master told him to drop off body and mind. Dogen was completely awakened by these words. Yet even after the transmission from his master, Dogen continued to practice diligently. There is no end to our practice. In 1227, Dogen returned to Japan and wrote Fukan Zazen, universally recommended instructions for Zazen. This is a form that had been transmitted since Shakyamuni Buddha, from master to disciple for generation after generation, and which was different from the style then practiced in Japan. In 1243, Dogen, at age 43, moved to Echizen province, supported by a samurai in this province. Dogen founded the Eiheiji Monastery there, because his master had taught Dogen that the deep mountain valley, far from the capital, was the ideal state of Zazen practice, and Dogen himself had long been keenly aware of this. At Eiheiji, he devoted the rest of his life to transmitting the true Buddha Dharma and training disciples. He said that it was not important that he had many disciples, and that it would be sufficient if there were even just one practitioner who could truly carry on his teachings. 10 years after Eiheiji's founding, he passed away at the age of 53. He found the answer only in Zazen, and did not want to establish and become the top of his sect, but simply moved to the land of Zazen, and practiced, and handed down Zazen. So, this is the Eiheiji. that is still practiced and handed down in this place as it was taught at that time. In Eiheiji, about 150 practitioners are still practicing wholeheartedly every day, following the teachings of Zen master Dogen. The Buddha Hall, called Buddhism. It was renovated in 1902 and is a very beautiful temple paved with cobblestones in the style of the Chinese Song dynasty. The sutra readings are held during the day and the evening. The Dharma Hall, called Hatto, is a place for practicing, with an area of 420 tatami mats, and it is here that morning sutra readings and various rituals are held, where all unsu gather together. If you question the why of each of these actions, you will not be able to do anything smoothly. The author says, here at Eiheiji, the question why makes little sense in carrying out our daily duties. The important thing here is to take the movements you are taught as they are and just stick to them. Naturally, there is no room for subjectivity. However, it is not so easy for those of us who have the latent ability to find meaning and purpose in all things. When his mind starts to float for a moment, he thinks, why am I doing this? Or what is this going to be? He's worried about it. After this, awaits a grand tour of riddles that cannot be answered. The practice of mindless Zazen is called shikantaza, single-minded sitting. Zazen is considered a fundamental practice and is not for the purpose of obtaining some certification of a spiritual enlightenment. Enlightenment is important, but it is not to be attained after practicing step-by-step Zazen. Zazen practice itself is believed to manifest the enlightenment of the Buddha. Dogen said, just let go and forget about both your body and mind. Throw yourself into the house of the Buddha. This is based on the fact that the Buddha was practicing Zazen when he attained enlightenment. I'm going to mention about the intensive Zen meditation called the Rohatsu Sesshin, which is a big event for the Eiheiji monks. The Buddha attained enlightenment on December 8th. In order to follow the Buddha's actions, it is a period of intensive Zazen. During this session period, from December 4th to 8th, the monks undertake a rigorous practice for 7 consecutive days. They gather in the monks' hall, rising before dawn at 3 a.m. to engage in Zazen. As the session commenced, the front gate of the monks' hall closed, and the signal for the start of Zazen echoed throughout the temple. Their minds became hazy, no longer processing trivial emotions such as questioning the purpose of their practice. Toward the final moment of release, the hall gradually becomes suffocated by the heat emanating from the human body. Their body is sweaty, and their limbs begin to tremble. They gasp, close their eyes tightly, and clench their teeth. Finally, from a distance, the sound of a board being struck, announcing the end of session, broke the silence of the early morning and echoed through the hall. Suddenly, the tension in their body left, and with a loud sigh, the suffering of the 7 days disappeared without a trace. The first snow fell after December 13th. After completing the session, the temple regained the flow of time as usual. Snow looks good on Eiheiji. It is true that Eiheiji temple is not stained by anything, sacred, and set apart by itself in nature. The year-long training at Eiheiji is grueling, causing some unsui to flee every year. Among them, 2/3 are university graduates, and the remaining are high school graduates. Most of the novice monks who enter the monastery are born in branch temples and will eventually be trained in Eiheiji, and then return to their own temples. They are young people who until just recently enjoyed a splendid time of youth and freedom at the university opened by their sect. Therefore, it is not the case that the young monks who enter Eiheiji monastery all seek enlightenment in the Buddhist way. The author of the book also says that it is a fact that some enter with a heart full of resentment toward their circumstances which they are born into. He noticed that they were changing, albeit little by little. It seemed to him that the thought of sacrifice due to the circumstances which they were born into was gradually fading as they lived in the monastery. They seemed to be beginning to gain the confidence to step firmly on the ground where they were standing, and to look forward without fear. Now, let's go to the mountain gate one last time. Spring at the Eiheiji temple is the season to welcome newcomers, and at the same time, it is also the season for some unsui to leave the practice period. At the Eiheiji temple, when spring approaches, they are asked whether they want to leave Eiheiji this spring. Some of them stay here, but most of them leave their training at this time of the year. The author recalls, the days at Eiheiji were terribly monotonous. Shortly after entering the mountain, I was very confused and anxious by the monotony. When I decided to leave Eiheiji, I felt that the fact that I was here now seemed irreplaceable. And I wanted to spend the remaining time here to the best of my ability. From then on, I devoted myself to sitting in the monastery as much as time allowed. I wanted to keep the darkness, this tranquility, and this air somewhere in my body. Life is a series of insignificant days, except for a few special days. After all, human beings are more likely to be attracted and moved by things that are dramatic and varied. And the more monotonous things are, the more they are neglected, buried in everyday life, and passed by without noticing. However, I think that it is the monotonous and mundane things that we repeat every day that pass by without realizing that there's a true longing within ourselves that we must be aware of. This is one of the answers I felt with my body at Eiheiji. Parking was easy. When I arrived at the mountain gate, the words of the plaques on this mountain gate, which had been read out loud by senior unsui a year ago, were repeated over and over again in my head. It was indeed a ridiculous place. I was disgusted by my own incompetence and was bothered. But what exactly was this tolerance? It gave me the courage to accept everything, embrace everything, and live in the present while remaining silent for a long time. This is the nature of humans. I put on my straw sandals and walked out of the mountain gate. I just looked ahead and walked.
Pick me up, yeah, 君の優しさに甘えて毎日破壊再生を聞く息を吸い吐くこの街でラップ、yeah、綺麗なエンジン駆け込んだラッシュ I live with my bro 今日も早朝から仕事に向かうフレンズもさっさと抜け出すぜボーローカルからライフを変える言っても一瞬の波は飛び終わって理想だけじゃ変わらない上伸びが花いつか俺も若くクラス1のバカが揺らすロアDon't worry 他人の善意を消費目的地はグローリー本当に分かってるよこの通り投げ出すにはもう遅いなもうない田舎でもラブしてたやっとライフ光が差してきたわオーナイ一室でライこの先の未来虹も疑わない Pick me up 君の優しさに甘えて毎日破壊再生を聞く息を吸い吐くこの街でラップ綺麗なエンジン駆け込んだラッシュ I live with my bro 今日も早朝から仕事に向かうフレンズもさっさと抜け出すぜボーローカルからライフを変える言っても今のままでいいやつなんてない目の前の景色を変えたいぜ他に夢中じゃほとんど夢は見れねえ目をねじ曲げるフレーズ不利なダイスをフィキなマイフォー普通が何か分からずに迷子だけど大丈夫これで最後あまらばダサいことなんてできないもん気にしてなんかこの失敗やことだってこの名もどうせ全国に轟くこりゃほんの一部で序章の序章最高のフレンズと Go to the mountain top yes Pick me up yeah 君の優しさに甘えて毎日破壊再生を聞く息を吸い吐くこの街でラップ綺麗なエンジン駆け込んだラッシュ I live with my bro 今日も早朝から仕事に向かうフレンズもさっさと抜け出すぜボーローカルからライフを変える言っても
Welcome back. How did you like the Eiheiji temple? Finally, I would like to introduce a passage in this book which really impressed me. It says that one of the tourists from overseas who visited the ancient capitals uttered, "There are many ancient temples and antiquities in Kyoto and Nara, but there's no Buddhism there." On the contrary, the author referred to this sentence and said about Eiheiji, "There are no ancient buildings or statues to see in Eiheiji. However, there is a living form of Zen here. Therefore, at Eiheiji, to all people who visit here, whether they are tourists or not, the temple shall want them see the true life of Eiheiji, that is, the living form of Zen with their eyes and hearts." The temple staff at Eiheiji welcomes all tourists with open arms. If you visit here, I'm sure you will receive a warm welcome. On this channel, I regularly take you to another world, mainly Western Japan. I also have an Instagram account, Go to Another World Japan, for my daily vlog. Be sure to check it out. If you found this video informative, Don't forget to like and subscribe. I hope you have a wonderful trip to Japan. People are a little bit shy, but warm and friendly, and the food is fabulous. Next time, I'm going to take you to another world, Ise Grand Shrine, located in Mie Prefecture. Ise Grand Shrine, the most prominent in Japan. Don't miss it. Thank you so much for watching today. I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.
I've run out of words to say. I closed my eyes and hid away. Watched my mind bend and break. No saving face, just knees on pavement. But I think